What's going on, everybody? Week 3 drum set for non-majors, COVID edition. So if you're one of my students from the University of the Arts, welcome back. We are going to continue on our journey on learning the drum set. If you are not one of my students from the University of the Arts and came across this video via social media, welcome. In this video, we are going to be working on 16th note hi-hat grooves. So far, everything that has been covered in the class, we have been playing on the ride cymbal. A few students have actually incorporated moving their right hand over to the hi-hat. The reason why we are playing with the right hand on the ride cymbal is because that allows us to play our left foot with the hi-hat. Thus, you then have all 4 limbs engaged when you started out on your drumming journey. But now that you have been playing for a little bit, you're a little bit more comfortable behind the drum kit, so we can move that right hand over to the hi-hat. So besides moving that right hand over to the hi-hat, you're also going to start playing a 16th note subdivision rather than an 8th note subdivision. So to start out, let's just start with groove number 1. You are going to play steady 8th notes on the hi-hat. Kick drum is still on beats 1 and 3. Snare drum is on 2 and 4. The difference this time is that you're going to keep your left foot down. I'm going to grab my in-ears because I don't know where my earplugs are, and let's give this a shot. 1, 2, ready, and... So now that you're a little bit more familiar with the right hand over on the hi-hat, let's switch over to a 16th note groove. So with the 16th notes, what you're going to do is just sneak the left hand in between your right hands. You're used to playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But now that you are switching over to 16th notes, you now have 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now, since you are alternating your hands back and forth, you're going to bring your right hand down to your snare drum on beats 2 and 4. So here's what groove number 1 sounds like playing a 16th note subdivision on the hi-hat. 1, 2, ready, and... Now you may notice in that 16th note subdivision that they are not all even on the hi-hat. If you played like that, it would sound a little bit like a drum machine. Although there are some times in music when that might be a little more applicable, in this case, let's focus a little bit more on the groove and making it feel better. Let's play through that groove again, slow it down just a little bit. 1, 2, ready, and... So if you haven't figured it out by now, beat 1, you are playing your right hand and right foot together, followed by left, right, left. 1, E, and a. For beat number 2, you bring the right hand down to the snare drum and finish out the rest of that beat on the hi-hat. 2, E, and a. Beat 3 is the same thing as beat number 1, so 3, E, and a. Bass drum and right hand for that first note. Rest is on the hi-hat. And then beat 4 is like beat 2. Bring that right hand down on beat 4. Play the rest of the beat on the hi-hat. 4, E, and a. So you have 1, E, and a, 2, E, and a, 3, E, and a, 4, E, and a. This is a perfect time in the video to pause and make sure that you get that down. Once you do, press continue. All right, welcome back. So, now that we are in a 16th note subdivision and you are playing back and forth, see if you can try and play it with one hand. Let's give it a shot. Play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and... So when you go to switch over to playing just with one hand, you want to make sure that you are continuing to stay relaxed and letting the stick do the work for you. Last thing you want to do is tighten up and muscle through this. That is when you could potentially hurt yourself, and you want to avoid that at all costs. So if you are trying this and you notice you're getting tight or you're starting to feel fatigue in your arm, then switch over back to just playing back and forth between the right and the left hand. We're going to take that first groove. So our bass drum is on 1 and 3. We're now going to add the bass drum on the of beat 2. So that means for beat number 1, you still have kick drum and right hand followed by a left, right, left. For beat 2, you have your right hand on the snare drum, E, and then a kick drum and left hand on the of 2. 2, E, and Then of course, beat 3 is just like beat 1, so you have kick drum and right hand, left, right, left. And then finally beat 4 is just that right hand on the snare on 4, followed by E and on the hi-hat. Here's what the groove sounds like slowed down playing both hands on the hi-hat. 1, 2, ready, and... Let's go ahead and try the same thing. We're going to pick up the tempo just a little bit. 1, 2, ready, and... Now, if you've gotten it down at that tempo, awesome. See if you can switch over to playing just your right hand on the hi-hat. Again, stay relaxed. 1, 2, ready, and... Unfortunately, due to a mic malfunction, I have to do a quick little voiceover. So for the next part of this video, what you are doing is transitioning back and forth between playing an 8th note groove and that 16th note groove that you just played. Here's what it sounds like. 1, 2, ready, and... Okay, and now it's time for groove identification. So the song for this week is Rosie by John Mayer. With this track, you are just listening to that 16th note groove on the hi-hat, and you have to identify whether or not it is your 16th note groove with the kick drum just on beats 1 and 3, or if you're playing that kick drum on the of 2 as well. Also, listen to the song carefully and see if there are any other grooves from your rock sheet played in a 16th note subdivision. And that is it. I hope everybody is staying well. Tune in for next week when the microphone won't fail. And until next time, see y'all later.